Hello, hello, Facebook. Friday night. Where else would you be but on a Facebook Live? Let me get situated here. I want to bring on a very good friend of mine. Oh, I'm so excited for tonight. Hi, Brittany. Hey, Jen. Getting ready to bring you on. Sophia. Who else is with us? Mary. Oh, my favorite people.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Jen in Japan.
What's up?
How are you?
Jen in Japan.
Jen in Japan.
Hey,
Hi,
everyone.
Catherine. Do we have a lag in our audio, Jen?
A little bit. So hopefully
Okay,
that will,
it's not too bad.
hopefully that'll
We
clear
have
up.
a lag. Ginger, Mary Ellen, and Charlotte tonight, I think. Living it up. Hey, Santana, Idaho in the house. Jen, if you want to spend some time doing some invitations, I can.
Yes,
that
is what I'm doing. So yeah, coaches, feel free to go ahead and, share this on your page.
Yes.
The little
Super
share button.
excited. I'm seeing lots of great friends. Linda Sanchetti is on. Angela.
Oh, Linda.
Bell. Hey, everyone. Ginger, I miss your face. Pete Lombardo's watching. Awesome to see everybody. We are so excited to talk to you tonight. So excited. And by the way, you guys, this is like the first time Jen and I have ever gone live publicly together. Might not be the last time, though. Depends on how if this is a train wreck, then maybe it'll be the last time too. I don't know. Samantha Rice, good to see you.
And guys, as you're hopping on, just let us know where you're from and let us say hi to you so we can see who's in the house.
Super exciting. So Jen, what time is it over in Japan?
It is 9:34 a.m. So it's actually not that early. It's a good time.
Not terrible.
Mm-mm. No.
Yeah. It's 6:30 on a Friday night here, and I'm just at that age where Friday nights are boring, and it's a very exciting Friday for me. So
exactly.
Awesome.
Cool, guys. Well, welcome on, Ginger. Hey. All right. Awesome.
All right. So it is 6:35 my time. And, maybe we should go ahead and start diving in, because the more that we think about it, this is kind of it's a dynamic topic, if it wasn't a dynamic topic, we would not, we wouldn't be wondering what the next diet fad is going to be and if it's going to work, or what the next, thing to avoid is, or make sure you do this, we wouldn't have to worry about that, so it's pretty dynamic.
Yeah. So again, we're super excited to go do this for you guys. Obviously, you guys see us post a lot. These are mostly our Facebook friends and family. You guys see us post a lot about our challenges all the time. And we just kind of wanted to break it down and go live and kind of share with you guys what it is we coach on and how we break down metabolism, since it is such a kind of a hot topic right now, in media, and it's actually kind of overwhelming and confusing. And I know that everyone wants to feel better and look better, and sometimes it's just a little overwhelming with all the information out there. So usually, guys, this information that we're going to be giving you tonight is only reserved for our clients that we coach privately, especially in these challenges. But tonight we're going to kind of reveal it to the world here, and we're going to give you some nuggets, and hopefully you can take this right now, tonight, take some notes. Like, this is good information. This is stuff actually that Nikki taught me 7 years ago. So we've actually been almost coaching together, we realized, for a whole decade now on this stuff. So we're not experts, but we have been trained for almost a decade by some experts in this field. Okay. So we're really excited. And yeah. And then if you stick around until the end, we might have like a little special surprise for you. So hang on with us. And, hopefully, yeah, you're not having too exciting of a Friday night, like you have plans or something. But if you do, that's fine. But stick around. We might have a little something special for you at the end. Nikki, you are incredibly knowledgeable in this field of metabolism and really nutrition has been kind of your main focus for the last 8 to 9 years. And I know that you've actually had the opportunity to work with some of the, top doctors in the industry, and work with them personally and hear kind of what's really going on. So I'm just so excited to hear what you have to say, really. But so what would be like your number one, what is the number one misconception out there right now with metabolism and like kind of losing weight and just having good health in general? Like, what do you, with your clients that you work with, what do you feel like is the most misunderstood thing?
I think overall, hands down, people don't eat enough and they exercise too much. So, for all of you watching, you're probably like, what? Seriously? That's exactly what I've always hoped for. No, trust me, like we eat too much of the wrong thing, but we don't eat enough of the right things. And so, in my coaching philosophy, it's kind of become a little different than what you would hear from a normal health coach. I don't believe in eat less, do more. I think that that's highway robbery for, I think that's a great way for a personal trainer to bring you into, into their business. But I think we're just not eating enough. And I kind of believe in what I've considered to be like more of an add-in theory, that we're missing so many nutrients that the body actually thinks it's starving. So it holds on to fat and doesn't allow the body to burn off the fat because we're exercising too much. And, I've always kind of seen the body as, if you think about the body, it has blinders on. And it doesn't really know that we have access to all of this food, even good food. All it knows is what kind of comes in and how it affects the system, and then whether it has the freedom to burn excess fat or not. So it's really kind of a game of starvation versus metabolism. So I think people just aren't eating enough, and then they're exercising too much. So when they exercise too much, if your body has blinders on, it kind of thinks to itself like, we're out hunting and we're burning these calories. We're trying to find food. And then if we don't eat the right nutrients, the body thinks we're starving. And so it continues to hoard fat. It doesn't allow the fat to burn. So that's, to me, the whole premise of metabolism is convincing your body that it's thriving, that it has enough, that it's okay to burn the fat that's not necessary, and then build up muscle instead of utilizing muscle as energy.
Awesome. Yeah, I know when I started getting coaching from you back in the day, that was my problem. I was over exercising, under eating, and it was not good for me.
And actually, Jen, I love your story, because for those of you who don't know Jen, or like when we met, and I'm going to allow you to tell your story, but I just kind of want to speak into it for a moment if it's okay.
Sure.
Jen came to me as this girl was doing Pilates every single day, was an instructor, a Pilates instructor. So she knew her fitness, and she was eating so cautiously. Like, this girl was not eating pizza. She was not drinking beer. It was a very cautious diet and eating the right things, and organic and vegetarian even for quite a while. And so do you want to tell us more about what you experienced when you shifted your metabolism thinking into what you're doing today?
Yeah, guys, it like completely revolutionized the way that I thought about food in general, really. But yeah, I always had the mindset of um, be, I was under the impression that if I just ate a lot of fruits and vegetables, that would give my body a lot of nutrients. So I was kind of on the right path a little bit with the nutrition, but what I was really lacking was that protein because I was vegetarian. So and there are healthy ways to be a vegetarian and get protein, but I wasn't educated in that. So my body was really, truthfully, always in starvation mode because, like Nikki said, I was teaching Pilates, I was teaching dance, I had just run a half marathon, I was going to hot yoga almost every day. So I was like, my body was just on overdrive, and I was starting to get like injured too a lot. So and then you know what, like Nikki, I wasn't always super healthy. I think on the weekends I would go and have like, you know, like a beer and pizza and stuff. So I was one of those too who would like be really healthy during the week. And then on the weekend, I would like let it loose and then go back to like being this healthy person. Yeah, but
That's
you know,
like
I think
what we do, you know. I think
yeah.
that all of our followers on here, everybody who's in the audience right now is kind of going, yeah, that's
Please
kind of
please raise your hand if you do that or if you have ever done that.
both.
So I don't yes, drop a comment and tell me if you're a weekend, you know, party binge eater like
Yeah.
I was, or sometimes I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I still get to, you know, do that. But
Yeah.
all right, so cool. All right, so we're not eating enough, and so that kind of actually leads me right into we sort of already touched on it, but into my next question, which is um, we hear a lot about protein and it's all over like the labels on our food and you know it's clearly out there in marketing, like we see it all the time, we need protein, protein, protein. So what is it like that we really, what is it about protein that we need, and like how much of it do we need, or how do we know how to deal with that?
Yeah, if you take a look at maybe the history of even fad diets, many of them are centered around low carb, high protein, right? Or low carb, even moderate protein. I kind of feel actually that we're misguided a little bit, if you will, by the FDA. The FDA tells us minimum standards, and by like minimum standards, it's like 40 to 70 grams a day or something. And if you're an athlete, you know how skewed this is. If you are someone who has shredded your body to maybe even like bikini competitions or, you know, any kind of stage, you know how crazy low 40 to 70 grams of protein is a day. You know, in general, like when we're doing sometimes we'll do eat clean challenges and then we tell people like a specific number of protein that they should grab a day, and make sure that they're getting inside of their eating window every day. But as a typical rule, I wouldn't allow most any of my clients to eat less than 100 grams of protein a day. Clean protein, that can be plant-based and or you know meat-based, depending on what people enjoy. But there is such power in protein, and people are missing this when they choose a lifestyle of vegetarianism. Sometimes that's the hiccup, is not being able to get enough protein. There are definitely ways to get enough protein and get that 100 to 150 grams of protein for women, men up to about 200. It just depends, you know, every individual is different, so we customize it. However, it is all like most men. I don't think that there's any men out there that I would recommend having less than 150 grams of protein a day. And then according to what they've got going on, it would be higher. But there's such power in protein because actually most people don't understand that when you eat protein, protein is a really long amino chain and it takes a lot for your body to break it down. So you actually burn the calories that you're getting in by the protein. You burn calories getting protein in. So this is why you see people coming out of the gym and scarfing a chicken breast, you know, along with some veggies for the good healthy carbohydrates. But we have to have the protein in order for our body to say, okay, we're not starving. We are allowed to build muscle. We are allowed to burn fat. And the other thing that people may not realize is that the more muscle that you have, the more calories your body burns at rest anyway. So if you can get more protein in, you can actually build up more muscle, which then in turn kicks your metabolism up and burns more calories. So now I'm not like, I wish I could tell you to eat a mug of bacon every day. I wish I could say that, but
Me too.
the doctors that I have conferred with say it's not healthy. Weird. I'm like, but it's protein, you know, and so it does need to be a clean source of protein, but it has to be enough and it has to be consistent. I'm sure we'll dive into blood sugars in a little bit, and we can talk a little bit more about how protein affects it, but there's so much power in protein. Not only does it burn calories, it builds muscle, makes the body understand that it's not starving. It keeps blood sugars level. It does so many things. So that is one of the buzzes out there today that is actually true, is we do need lots and lots of protein.
Awesome. But from a good source.
Yeah, not just bacon.
Not just bacon.
Not just
sorry,
bacon.
sorry guys.
I know. Bacon burgers every day.
I wish. All right, awesome. So now with sugar, because I know you're talking about blood sugar, but let's talk about like sugar in our foods for a second. Because that may actually be a little bit older of a fear or concern or whatever, but I think it's still out there. Yeah. Because you know, we see a lot of like sugar-free stuff, and like, so do we go sugar-free or do we avoid sugar altogether? I know a lot of people are really really afraid of sugar, and so what is good sugar, what's bad? How do we know how to dissect that?
That's a really great question. In fact, it's something that I honestly see every single week with my clients. The question about sugar, I'll have people go completely sugar-free, thinking that, and there's a difference between, okay, you've got to hear me on this. There's a difference between avoiding sugars and going sugar-free, because some people will purchase products that say sugar-free because they're sugar-free, but buying a product that says sugar-free doesn't mean it's healthy. So we need to be careful, because a lot of times when things say sugar-free, it means that aspartame is actually the ingredient that they're taking in, which is really not good for your body. Or other alternatives to sugar that are artificial and really kind of wreak havoc in your system. And so there's a difference between loaded with unnatural sugars or loaded with unnecessary added sugars, or having natural sugars. And, you know, fruit sugars, I personally think fruit sugars are okay for you. You know, when I'm working with my clients, like for instance, we do this Eat Clean Challenge. Bananas are not allowed. They are a natural fruit. They have natural fruit sugar in them, but according to the glycemic index, they're super high in sugars. So what happens is it throws those blood sugars off. And whenever your blood sugars are off, remember, if we go back to the very beginning of what we were talking about, health is just this game of metabolism, blood sugars, teaching your body that it's not starving. Well, anytime that your blood sugars spike or drop, your body freaks out a little bit, thinks it's starving, it stores fat. It just like holds on to things and it doesn't metabolize the way it's supposed to. So any large amount of sugar, spiking those blood sugars, is going to freak your body out. Also not eating and letting your blood sugars completely drop. So it's important that you moderate sugar, and also I'm a proponent for natural sugars. Fructose, I know I hear a lot of people freak out over fructose, and fructose is not the same thing as high fructose corn syrup, people. It's not the same. Fructose is sugar derived from fruit, and it is okay for your body. Now, there are some people out there who do not process fructose well at all, just like there are people who, has celiacs, and people who can't do peanuts, and people who can't do, there's a lot of things, you guys. We've just really wrecked the biochemistry inside of our systems over the last several decades. And so we're, kind of working with some wrecked DNA here. But as a general rule, fruits are healthy, and they are the healthy carbohydrate that our body needs, because our body actually breaks it down into energy, and we do need energy. If you're working with a healthy individual, then I think that you are free to eat fruits. Personally, I like to keep my added fruits to mornings only, just so we have time kind of to work that energy off and convert, the fructose into the right energies and stuff. I wouldn't go eating a couple pieces of fruit before bed, but there is something kind of considered nutrient timing and making sure that you have things in. If I have somebody who is certainly overweight and they want to really reduce and kind of go clean eating really quickly, I just work with that glycemic index and say, maybe bananas we hold off on for a while until we're at a healthier weight, so that the body doesn't kind of freak out with this amount of sugar coming in at one time.
Awesome. So I love what you said about just like moderation, and I'm not sure if you actually use the word balance, but that's so like good to hear, I think, because of the amount of extreme diets that we're seeing out there right now.
Yeah.
And again, I'm like not an advocate for one diet or another, but I just, yeah, because I don't think one of my questions actually was carbohydrates, but you kind of did touch on that a little bit. I'm going to throw it out there though. Can we like just quickly like talk, like, so you said we do need carbohydrates in our diet.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just clarifying.
I'm just sensing the questions coming. I have a lot of people watching.
No, I'm just kidding. I just want you to kind of can you just touch on that a little bit more? Like, so a fruit is a carbohydrate, correct?
Yes, it's a complex.
Okay. And so what would happen like if we completely took carbs out of the diet? Like, how would that, do you think that would be for the metabolism?
So I do have to kind of address this. I want to address this carefully, because as we know, there is a diet out there that is high fat, zero carbs. And then, so what the body does essentially is the body will utilize all bioavailable carbohydrates for energy first. Then it will go to fat and proteins. And so what happens with this diet that is very popular right now, super high fats, moderate amount of protein, what happens is there's no carbohydrates in the system to begin burning, so it goes straight to fats. The problem with a diet that has zero carbohydrates in it that I've found is a lack of sustainability. It's really hard to get your body into the mode where it's operating, where its energy source is fat only, because you do have to overload the body with fats, which is healthy, by the way. Like, certain fats are healthy. We know that avocados are very healthy. Omega-3s, like, you can't get enough omega-3s. That's very important for the brain. It's people who are getting the right fats into their diet are experiencing fantastic energy. But there's this balance, right? So what happens is, let's say we have a slip up and we go ahead and eat pizza one night. Now the body has this loaded fat in the system, and now these carbohydrates, which are spiking blood sugars, and then we're kind of like dropping fat stores. So I personally don't see it as super sustainable for the average person. Um, I would even say I don't think it's very sustainable for the above average person. I think it's difficult to sustain this, but it is something that people play with. The science is there. I'm not even going to argue the science. The science is there. That a high fat, high protein diet or moderate protein diet, however you want to, throw the opinion on that, is it works. But when you throw carbohydrates into it, it kind of changes the chemistry and the science in there. In my philosophy, if we have the proper amount of carbohydrates that are complex, they have fiber, which is necessary for the diet, they have the proper amount of fats and a decent amount of proteins, it actually, that balance can really kick the metabolism into gear as well. And it's easier to sustain when you slip up and do have simple carbohydrates. It's not a complete shock to the system because the system's already getting the right natural carbohydrates. Does that answer the
Yeah.
question? Okay.
Yeah, it does. No, that was actually awesome. I even, even like as a coach, like that could be confusing, so
It is.
that was very, very clear.
It's
Awesome.
really
Thank you.
confusing. You're welcome.
Yeah. But okay, awesome. So, and then nutrient density or nutrient density. Like, how do we know, like, what is that? And like, how do we densify or whatever our diet?
You know, that is such a great question. And again, like kind of going back to the beginning of our discussion, where we started tonight, I think people are missing nutrients. And I think that that's the number one issue that we have is it's not just that we're eating terrible stuff. It's also that we're not eating the stuff that our body does need. Our body needs macronutrients, the proteins, the complex carbohydrates, and the proper fats. And we need it. It's called macro because we need it in big quantities. We need a lot of it. But our body also needs micronutrients and herbs and botanicals. And what's happening is we're kind of missing those things. If we can get all the parts and pieces into the body that the body needs, then the body can know that it's thriving and that it's actually not starving, and it can it can metabolize properly. So it can actually burn calories like a machine, like it was meant to. But did you know actually that the number one complaint in doctors' offices is like lethargy? People are tired, fatigue, and it's because we're just not getting the nutrient density that our body needs. 20, 30 years ago, we would grow broccoli in the backyard and the soil was properly, it had all the nutrients in it and the vitamins and stuff that it needed to grow and actually give us broccoli that produced it was rich in vitamins. We have farmed this land, farmed this land, farmed this land to the point where our soil it's kind of, it's like there's a negligent amount. There's like so little that's still there to actually put into the broccoli that's being grown. And so now what we're seeing is we're seeing food in grocery stores and at farmers markets that just don't have the nutrient density that it used to. It just doesn't have the nutrition that it used to. And so we need so much more. And this is why you're starting to see supplements that like greens additives and or boosters and nutrition shakes that have more nutrition in it because they can actually calculate the vitamins and the nutrients that are going into these powders versus what we're getting through the whole foods. And don't get me wrong, I'm a proponent for whole foods. But we're just not getting the nutrient density that we need. And this is why we're seeing obesity and oh my gosh, the diabetic rates that we're seeing right now, even cancer, you guys, like any disease that we're seeing in society is typically a lack of a nutrient somewhere. And so it's almost like an epidemic of a lack of nutrition out there. And so if I could just express that message to people, like find ways to get dense amounts of nutrition into your body with the least amount of calories possible, you're doing good. You're doing good. Look for the nutritional powders, look for the boosters, do the vitamins, do the micronutrients, add the herbs, because it seems silly, but it matters. It really makes a difference in your body and the way that it's going to respond. It teaches the body that it's thriving instead of starving.
Yeah, totally. And I can like remember the actual feeling of when I started coaching with you like 7 years ago, when I made that shift from, kind of like a lack of nutrients in my diet to a supercharged nutrient dense diet. I lit up like a light bulb.
Yes.
I had so much energy. Like I was like, what? How is this possible? You know what I mean?
Yes.
I went from being like a pot of coffee drinker to like not even like needing it. Like I just drank it because I liked it, like the taste.
Yeah.
And I was waking up at like 5 in the morning to go run 8 flights of stairs with you at Fit Camp. Like it was crazy. So it really is amazing
Yeah.
what getting the nutrient dense food into your diet on a consistent basis, how that can just change your energy and the way you go
Yeah.
about your day.
Yeah. And I feel like, and I
So
know firsthand, it only takes a couple days and
yeah.
you light up. We're noticing that our clients have less bloating, they sleep better at night, and their energy is through the roof, where fatigue was kind of the name of the game. And I know that you know this firsthand because you kind of partnered up with me and you began coaching and doing what I do, and we just kind of started to run with it. And it is just one person after another that can immediately recognize that nutrition can change your life.
Yeah. It's so awesome. I'm so happy I met you. All
Same.
right, so we're gonna wrap it up, and I just want to kind of, if you could touch on, if you have one kind of like overall best piece of advice for somebody who's really struggling right now, who really is confused. Hopefully, they got a lot of value out of this lesson, but like, where do you start? Like, how do you like? What is the best way to get started, and what do you think is the best thing for somebody who's really struggling?
We've determined, and you know this already, Jen, but Jen and I have kind of come together and realized that there's a handful of habits that if you can really get good at doing these things, and if you can really get good at avoiding these things, we do believe in the add-in theory, but if we can really get good at the habits, um, I'm not so concerned with my clients about the happenings. I'll sit down with somebody, we'll start talking about, whether if they're joining maybe my Eat Clean challenge, and they'll be like, well, but I have a birthday party on Saturday. And like, granted, when you're doing an Eat Clean challenge, and like our Eat Clean challenges are 7 days, right? And it's like, when you're in it, it's the 7 longest days of your life, because you are like really serious about getting these things in and really serious about not getting these things in. But when you're doing daily life, I believe it's about the habits and not just the happenings. Like, yes, you're going to have birthday parties, but if we can take metabolism and recognize that is an average of the actions. So if most of the time I'm eating clean, I'm drinking all my water, which is something that we haven't talked about and I think is huge. If we're getting the right amount of protein, if we're the proper amount of carbs, if we're not doing the sugars, like if we're doing that 90% of the time, eat a freaking cupcake on Saturday. It's okay. Don't eat cupcakes all day Saturday because it messes up your average. But if we can, like, on average, do the right things, and I'll tell you, some of what you guys know is accurate about what to eat and what not to eat. Some of what we think is not so accurate. And so I would say if you're really struggling, well, I would love to say if you're really struggling, jump into our Eat Clean Challenge. That's what I would love to say, because it teaches you all the things, 7 things you do and 7 things you don't do. But maybe focus on one healthy habit to just master. Maybe it's the gallon of water a day, which is actually what can convince your body, again, that it's not starving. Or maybe it's that you're going to hit that protein level between the time you wake up and the time you go to bed. I actually do believe in intermittent fasting too, but that's a whole other discussion that we have inside of like the different challenges that I do. But if you can just get the protein in between the time you wake up and the time you go to bed, the proper protein, mind you, keeping those sugars out. And then let's see, what are some of the other habits that I would suggest? What if it was just a 2-mile walk every day? It's the consistency and it's the average of the actions that make the metabolism say yes. Otherwise, you got to think of all the things that you're doing and the things that you're putting into your body that make the metabolism say, whoa, slow down, we might be starving. Whether it's not eating, whether it's too much sugar, not enough water, not enough protein, not enough veggies. Those, we have to understand the body's just a machine and it only knows what we put in and what we take out, what we put in, what we take out. And if you put in a donut, the body goes, is this a protein? Is this a complex carbohydrate? Is this a healthy fat? And when it goes, no, it's none of those things, the body goes, I don't really know what to do with it. We're just going to store it. So everything that goes in the body counts. It's like going to the bank and trying to deposit Monopoly money. It doesn't work. The bank's going to go, no, we reject this deposit. Unfortunately, your body can't reject the deposit except for in the form of just storing that donut as fat. So we have to think about it a little bit more. I say get educated. I don't think you need to go out and take a nutrition class, but find some accountability, find a coach. We have a team of coaches throughout the U.S. and actually the world that get together and do these Eat Clean challenges so we can create accountability. We sit down and work with people one-on-one. So it's likely that if you're watching this, you may know one of our coaches on our team that you can sit down and get help from. So find the accountability, decide that your body is worth, putting the right things in and not trying to deposit the Monopoly money into your bank account. Just decide, like with everything in life, it comes down to deciding and making the decision that we're going to do something different. And I promise that we make it simple. We take this complex thing and we drive it down into something simple so that you can create the daily habits that make sense up here. Because if you're told to do something but it doesn't really make sense up here, eventually the subconscious just rejects it and you just stop doing it. So my goal is to make sure that people understand why they're doing what they're doing. And then over time, you perfect these habits. And then we have a good average of habits and the metabolism gets going.
So awesome. Yeah. And like a huge part of what you said for me in my journey was the accountability factor and being around people who are doing the deal like with me. And I think that really does make or break the situation too. So that's why I love the Trim 7 Eat Clean challenges, because it does give you that group, that support structure along with, hey, this is what you just need to do every day. And so we're actually really excited because we're about to launch next week a Trim 7 Eat Clean challenge. So if what we shared tonight was like something that actually interests you and you got value out of this, we would love to have you inside of that challenge. Again, it's 7 days and we teach you our exact like 7 do's and 7 don'ts each day. We're giving that high quality coaching to you. So we're going to drop the link. Actually, we're going to probably edit the post and drop the link in the post so that anybody who is watching can just go on. You can go onto the website and kind of see what it really, like more of the details, and register. And if you register tonight in the next like hour, we are going to gift you a special 30-minute private coaching session with us. And that's something like extra we're just like giving out there for free for anybody who joins in the next hour into the Trim 7 Eat Clean Challenge.
That
So
is so fun
yeah.
because, you know, one of the things that I get questions about all the time is like, well, how much protein do I need exactly? And there actually is a formula. So we can determine exactly how many grams of protein a person needs according to a couple of things. So having a private coaching session that's a really big bonus actually for joining this little challenge. But it can change everything for somebody. So that's really awesome that you're going to do that, Jen. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I kind of promised a few people that I would share a little bit of the story, like how, you know, how this has changed my life. So, you guys, I was athletic for years and years and years. Got pregnant. I guess my body just decides it likes to gain a lot of weight when I'm pregnant, and I was in my fourth pregnancy. Things were, let's just call it, I was a little down in the dumps, maybe borderline depression when I found out that I was going to have this other baby. And in those moments, I actually decided to become a personal trainer. So I began studying personal training, and I came across this opportunity to just learn more about nutrition. So I started learning more about nutrition. I started really understanding how metabolism works. So everything that we talked about tonight, I really kind of learned in this period of time in my life where I was just kind of desperate for any information. And once I really started to see that metabolism was something that we actually had a lot of control over, I started mastering these habits. Personally, I ended up with a very healthy pregnancy, losing all my weight within just like 3 to 4 months after delivering. And actually within 6 months of delivering the baby, I was in the best shape of my life.
We need to drop, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we have to drop like there needs to be a photo drop because I can't believe like how you look amazing.
It was pretty cool. But what I love about that was that story actually, Jen, when, you know, when you came in and we began working together, you didn't have any kids yet. And then I know my story is kind of cool, but I am like so proud of your story because after learning these things for you, you know, you've gone on to have 2 children, and talk about like
almost a third.
She's got number 3 on the way. But you guys, like, you would not believe the results that she's had by applying these metabolism tips to what she's doing. Like every time I pull your before and after pictures, I was like, no, here is what this metabolism program can really do. It's so killer.
Yeah.
So it's been such a fun journey. It's been really fun to learn that health can be so much more simple if you just choose it, if you just decide. And also like all the people that you and I've helped along the way, it's been really fun. It's
definitely.
It's like what
warms the heart.
I know.
Yeah. So we are so lucky to have such a rewarding job. But guys, I just dropped the link actually for the Eat Clean Challenge in the comments here. So you can scroll through and find that, but we'll also put it in the post of this replay. So you can go back and click on it. But like I said, like hop in, like don't even think about it. Like you've already heard about how it's changed our lives forever and a lot of people around us too. So just jump in. It's 7 days. You really don't have a lot to lose, seriously. And you might even learn something. So, but thanks for joining us tonight. This was super fun, and we're going to have to do this again really soon.
Thank you, Jen. I appreciate everything. And I'm sure we're going to chat very soon.
Awesome. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good Friday.
Guys. Thanks for joining.
Bye. Thanks, guys.